Good afternoon. It's about 5:45 on Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, I suppose. Um, and here I am. Okay, just trying to do a couple of quick videos. Um, I will try to keep them brief. Because your attention span is probably around this time of the day, presuming you're going to watch these this evening or tomorrow. It's probably short with all the other things you have to do. And then the other piece is I just really can't do any real long marathons of much of anything. A quick health bulletin. I'm off the IVs, but I still have. It's taking me a very long time to feel human again. I thought I was, but the blood tests say that I'm not human yet, and I'm really going slowly. And I thank you for your patience. Um, Kind of embarrassed that I haven't been as involved with you as I wish I were. And all I can say is that I thank you for your patience, and I hope that if you have any particular questions, and some of you have had some, please feel free to text me or email me or call me even if you need to, if you have something that's on your mind. The only thing I know that I'm behind on is responding to discussion questions. And I'm probably going to try to put a dent into them tomorrow, Friday, more likely Saturday and Sunday. So if you're interested in where those come from, so be it. Always know that I must never give less than a 4. That's why I don't necessarily put the score up. I must never give less than a 4 on discussion questions because, first of all, because you're doing a nice job with them, and so I don't feel the need to necessarily give you the score up front. If you're going to get less than 4, if I think you either have missed the boat altogether, or if you haven't done in terms of my bookkeeping, then you're not going to get a 4. If there's something I think that you need to bolster, then by all means, I'll tell you to bolster it in order to get that 4. So think of each discussion as a 4. You probably won't have a total amount of discussion questions that the semester syllabus specified, and I'll make that adjustment for you. None of you need to worry about you're being penalized about that. Not at all. Okay, so I'm looking at three videos. One is this one, which is I'm titling the assignments. One person asked about this the other day, and I thought it was a worthy question. But before I get to that, because it is a kind of assignment, I will tell you a little bit of confusion that I had. Now, please pay attention to this as such. I'll probably be making an announcement about it too tomorrow, just to have you hear it or see it from two corners. What I did was I had left out a slot for the discussion questions, a discussion question, recalling for a PMI if you had chosen to participate by watching the videos of the Dr. Gonzalez's forum. There were some other things I was supposed to do with you about that through Dr. Kodak and Dr. Gonzalez, which I haven't done. I don't even know if I'm going to do that, but for sure, certainly I'm going to expect you to, if you choose to, because it's up to you to use the hours time I'm allotting for the internship, and by having watched the video, and then getting another hour's time for having done the PMI, that's great. Now, what I did was I went today to take a look at what was happening. One or two of you did send me emails, which is what I had asked for, but I also know I confused you because the mind is still confused. I also had left a slot for it. So I think about 3 of you were answered in the discussion section, and 1 or 2 of you answered in the by way of email. If you still choose to answer the PMI of the first video presentation out of Dr. Gonzalez, and there's another one I think coming up on the 28th. I will continue that process. By all means, I reopen the discussion question. So you can answer it within the discussion question, and for those of you who did answer it there, I will respond to you tomorrow, and you'll do a great job with that. And the ones who had sent me emails also did a terrific job. I haven't responded to any of them as such because of my boo-boos. So you can still go in there. I reopened the discussion question slot because I had limited it to a week, but I decided that it's my fault that I haven't gotten back to you about that. If you choose not to do it, that's fine too. Then you can't clock the hour. of intern time, and certainly you can't clock the hour, another hour of intern time for answering the question. It's as simple as that. So I didn't want to forget that. Another person, I forgot the person's name who asked about the assignments, and that's what this video was about. It's going to be brief, but it's going to be pretty important because I'm going to lay out some premises that I've alluded to in here and there, but not all that specifically, kind of on purpose. Because I don't necessarily think, sometimes that people are ready for those kinds of things. And all the more reason to sort of strike when the iron is hot. And so what I'm going to do now is just share the screen for a moment and bring up the, what I'm doing here. I'm going to get more specific about the rest of the assignments. That's what this video is, as well as having remind you about the intern requirement. So I've done that. The second video will be the next chapter in collective mindset, as we're rapidly coming to the end of it. And it also has to do with one of the assignments anyway. And then the third video will be continuation of futuring. And there will be a discussion question about that, which I haven't thought of yet because I want to kind of take your temperature about. We're rapidly finishing the text. I would say we have another couple of weeks to finish the text if you haven't already done it on your own. And what I'm trying to do now is to maximize the message that the book provides and weld it back into other change theory issues, and particularly the matter of futuring. You recall that you took a survey where I typified you into different places. I haven't told you where I put you yet because I'm saving that until after we get through the book. But pretty soon you'll be told, Kay, you are a superintendent, and I can't remember anyone else's name right now. I apologize. Nicole, you are the principal, and because you're that, you should be playing that role, which I will give you, and because you're that, you should be using a skill set that I will teach you. So, for example, the principal, which Nicole is not to say that you're going to be the principal, but the principal in this little activity I'm putting together, it's actually a big activity, is to be the specialist in collaborative leadership. And so my expectation of you is that you will have made yourself the expert on collaboration. Where Kay, being a superintendent, will, and I'm not saying Kay will be the superintendent, Kay being a superintendent will be the culture specialist, which will mean she has to have muscles in culture as you folks get together on your own to examine and solve some of the questions I'm going to give you. So that's where we are with that. And I'm talking too much. So let me just share the screen. Let me share the screen. Let me share the screen. Please share the screen. Where is it? There we go. That's not what I want. This. Okay, I am in assignments, and you have this in Canvas. All I've really done is replicate Canvas. I redid some pieces of this today so that you can see this more carefully. And this is pretty much in alignment with the syllabus, although I've made a couple of adjustments. All right, now let's go to the low-hanging fruit. The easy one is discussion questions. Keep answering the discussion questions as they come. You're not being penalized for discussion questions I haven't asked. Okay, we're recording this so we can, that a couple of months from now, you can say, Bernard, look what you said here. And I would never penalize you for discussion questions I haven't required of you. So, but you do have a number of discussion questions to respond to. And I noticed that the last one's a couple of weeks ago. And again, that's when my world caved in, and I'm still digging out of it as such. So you get discussion questions. You have two case studies, maybe one, depending on how fast we move. But right now, I'm planning for two. each worth 10 points. One's going to be due at the end of this month. First, I had it down for October 23rd, and today being the 12th, I said to myself, that's asking too much. So I pushed it back a week. So you have a case study that's due at the end of the month, and you have I'm calling it a case study. You see it's 1, 2, 3, 4 down. These are not in any, these are not in chronological order, you'll soon see. It's due on November 30th. Now that is going to be connected to the simulation I just talked about, where you have to interact with each other playing different roles. If I don't think that we've bitten enough of that off, I'll cancel that case study or change it. But right now, that case study is due the 30th of November, and you need not worry about it now. I'll just read it back to you for a moment so you see what it is. But you're really not prepared to do that at all. Okay? This case study is easy enough for you to see. And this is the one that's due in a couple of weeks. And I hate to be read to, as I told you a million times. But I'm reading to you. And basically, I'm saying, based on your reading of chapter 9 in the collective mindset, in my mind, chapter 9, I think I said this to you already, is the premier chapter in the book, not just because it's near the end of the book, but because it kind of synthesizes so much of what the collective mindset is about, and it puts it into a scenario format largely. So, and I'm going to go over this chapter through the ordinary videos we've done here, but for the moment, what I need you to do is to have read chapter 9, not today, but between now and October 30th. And then what you need to do is to analyze the issues and leadership concepts that are associated with implementing change. And you will see more. If I told you to find them all, you'd be writing a term paper, a dissertation. There are many. I'm only going to give you a minimum or a maximum number. I'll give you a minimum. Give me at least 3 of some change concepts that you recognize through conversations or through other courses and readings that you've done along the way that have to do with implementing change in your school or your department. Okay? And which of these many ideas presented appear to be the most challenging in your present environment? Now, we have to be careful here. So if you are working in school XYZ and there is no shared vision, there is no shared vision there, and you really think that's the number one deterrent to change, then speak to it from a practical, concrete, real point of view. If you're in a building that's, none of you have heard of this movie, but here it comes. If you're in Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, where everything is la-di-da and hunky-dory, and I don't think those schools exist, then you may say, well, there's no problems here. We're all rocking and rolling and we're doing what we need to do and everything's just wonderful. I won't believe you. And then what you could at least do with that hunky-dory school is see if there's something that you would like to improve towards. But if you are in the real world, wherever you're working, whatever building you're in, whatever part of the metropolitan area in which you live, you're going to find any number of things to speak to, and that's what to speak to. How would you fix it? Based on what you understand out of the chapter 9 conversation. So really my short story is I wanted to see how well you can take the concepts from chapter 9 and from the book, quite frankly, and put them on the ground, put them to application. If you don't work in a building yet for some reason, I don't think there's any of you in that circumstance, but if you don't have a position right now, give me a call if you'd like to talk about it. But I'm sure you can come up with something to work with. But that case study, again, we're talking 2 pages, double-spaced, would be analyze the issues and leadership concepts associated with implementing change in your school or department, and which of the many ideas presented appear to be most challenging in your present environment, and tell me how you're going to address those. That's case study number 1, all right? And it is published, and you can see that I changed the due date to the 30th. And I will post a rubric too. And I put that down. It won't be anything spectacular, elaborate, but it will be a rubric. And basically, if you want 10 points, you need to show me that you can translate, apply the book's concepts to your own thinking. How will you able to do that? That's the broad rubric, but I'll be more specific about it. So there will be a rubric. I'll get together over the weekend, I suppose. So you have that. That's the assignment that's due on the 30th. Want to get it to me sooner? That's fine too. But I prefer, if you want to get it to me in a draft form, that's also fine. Okay. That's one assignment. Now let's go back to the assignment section in Canvas. So we've done one case study, we've done one discussion question. And let me go down to the next assignment that's due, DUE. And that will be a faculty memo. A communication to your staff. And I've reworded this a little bit. This is due on November 20th, due about 4 or 5 weeks from now, maybe more now. Okay, so you have plenty of time to put that together. Again, a 2-page memo, even shorter than that. The longer a memo is for a staff, the less they pay attention to, quite frankly. And you can see it's similar to the case study, but now I'm asking you to show how you would enlist your staff and your stakeholders to help you work up a plan, which is the final assignment I'll come to in a moment. So you become the principal of a building where the ENL population needs clearly haven't been met. And as a new principal, you see the following issues. Now, this is just a laundry list. It's not even all the things that I might have offered you. You can add to that list if you want. And what you need to do is to offer these bullets to your staff to consider as issues to worry about. So one could be a lack of unanimity of shared vision among your stakeholders. That is often the case when it comes to change in general, certainly with ENL needs as well. That you're concerned about the widening gaps of achievement between the general education children and the ENL students. I don't think there's anything there that's that will throw you there. I think that's a pretty obvious piece. That you recognize it. Now, this is about the administrator here. No, I'm sorry, it's not. The next one is. You recognize that there's inconsistent, there's the key word there, instruction going on in working with the ENL kids. During a bilingual class, if there's some kids pushed in and taken out, whichever model that you want to take a look at, and you see that not every Mrs. X is doing Y and Mr. Z is doing A, and they're really not consistently addressing the issues that the students are in need of, perhaps by way of looking at the data analyses you might have done. And so that could be a problem. And how would you find ways to solve that? Now, we use the inconsistent word again by saying supervisory practices could be inconsistent too. Now, that's a tricky one because that's really about you, not the teachers specifically. That's about you and perhaps your subordinates who help you supervise your teachers. So if Assistant Principal Mary writes up or observes and supports the staff you've assigned to her differently than Assistant Principal Johnny, is that a smart thing to do when you have a building that's in need of consistency? How would you make that uniform? That's a complicated question. In fact, I just want to point out to you that I don't know if you've had it yet, but when you do, I think this particular course I'm taking, not because I'm teaching it, however haphazardly I've been doing it with my problems the last couple of weeks, I think that this is the most important course you take in all of the program you're in right now, except perhaps the supervision. That's a course I really like to teach too, though this is my favorite course to teach. Supervision is critical because supervision, especially in the city school system, which, by the way, isn't half bad, except for the way it's implemented, is a difficult thing to regulate, to assure yourself that you're doing the proper way of helping your teachers get better at what they do. That's what that's about. And so that's an issue that may be out there. Maybe some of your staff will tell that to you, which goes along with staff development, by the way, which I didn't put here, but certainly is another bullet that you could easily address. If you think the staff development is haphazard, as it so often is, speak to that if you want as well. If you're speaking to, and the last bullet would be the lack of a collective mindset among all stakeholders to tackle these and other problems, which is kind of like the first bullet, I think, but maybe a little bit more specific. Now, do you have to address all of those bullets? No. You can pick 2 or 3 of those. It's okay if you choose to focus more closely on 1 or 2 of them, for that matter. What you need to do is sell those issues to your staff. And then you need to tell the staff, well, we're going to start having meetings and we're going to start doing a needs assessment and hear what you have to say so we can collectively come up with action to take care of these things. So what you're trying to do is enlist people to help you. Now, you could turn around and say to your entire staff and say, you all will be at the meeting on October 29th. Drop everything. This is where you're going to be. Your grandma died. That's too bad. You're coming to the meeting, kind of thing. People do things like that. That's a mistake. Better that you should try to get the folks whom you think you've been able to convince would like to be part of something like this than to put a gun between anyone's eyes and say you have to do this. Okay, I'll put a model up of that well before the time that it's due. Okay, but because it's not due until November 20th. But that's that assignment. And again, I'll look at it in draft if you want to play around with it. But I would urge you not to do that at all yet until you actually bite off the case study approach that's due at the end of October, as such. Okay, so that's something else we've talked about in the assignments, and I have to go back to the big issue, and that would be the final project. Now, I had some of you in a class before, and you're going to say, "Well, we did this already," and yeah, so you know how to do this a little probably with more aplomb than these folks who haven't yet met this particular way of approaching things. But this is where you're going to come up with an action plan. This is not due until December 8th, which I think is the last day of class. So in and around December 8th. Right now I have it down for December 8th. I may shove that date back a couple of days or forward, depending when I figure out when the semester ends. Not to worry. What you're going to do is you're going to do really 2 things here. So I'll be more specific about this in a couple of weeks, because I don't want to overload you. But all I'm doing is putting the acorns between your ears, planting seeds with you so you can see what you're going to do. What you're going to do really is two parts to this. One part is to do an actual action plan that would have been a consequence of or a result of having had your faculty come together in the memo. So you invited people on November 20th to participate, and now you're going to set up a system, which I'm being artificial about this, which would take a lot longer than 1 month to do, where these folks are going to show up, or you're going to give them professional time off to work with you or with a consultant to create a plan to attack the issues that you mean to attack. There'll be certain required pieces to this, but it's going to be a template. It's going to look like a table, and that will be half of the assignment. The other half of the assignment will be a narrative showing how you wrote the template up. And that probably went in this year and came out right at the other side. If you were talking to me, I know that would happen to me. But that's where we're coming from as far as my expectation of you to have the muscles, the competencies to do something that most administrators do not know how to do. Most experienced veteran administrators don't have the talent to do, have not been taught how to do it, and certainly not taught to do it well. I'm going to be a wise guy and say, once you've been Bernardo-wised on this, and you get this into your DNA, you will know more than 95% of the administrators with whom you work or will ever work to know how to bring this off. And these are real skill sets of change and of futuring, which I'll come to in a moment, which all come together. And so that's due on the 8th. So understand, by way of all of what I'm trying to say to you, that the dates on this little table here in the assignment section of Canvas are a little out of whack, okay? But I don't think it's going to throw you as such. There's a possibility, I'm not going to say it's a probability, but there's a possibility I will waive the second case study. It's a possibility, but it really depends on how well we move through November, well, actually through the next back part of October as we move into the second half of the course as such. All right, that's what this video is about. You have it in front of you, have it in Canvas, and now you have it from me. And you should be watching this really carefully, and certainly shoot questions among each other for clarification. And certainly I would expect that you would shoot them back to me. Don't shoot them at me. I can't duck. Just send them to me and I'll respond. So I'm going to stop this video, and I'm going to bring up two other videos. One video will be the next chapter in collective mindset, and another one will be continuing the premise of futuring, and there will be a discussion question with that. So you're not done with me tonight, although you may be done with me because you won't see these until tomorrow. But I'm going to try to move forward from there. Enough said. Okay, I'll see you in a minute.